You are now listening to the Minority Trailblazer Podcast. Season 2, new intro, let the story begin.
One time for the lovers, 2 times for the ladies, 3 times for the brothers, 4 times for the babies. Do you love her? 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 1 time for the lovers, 2 times for the ladies, 3 times for the brothers, 4 times for the babies. Do you love her? 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 Brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. Brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. She my brown skin, love her brown skin, love her brown. She my brown skin, love her brown skin. Hold me down.
Minority Trailblazer Nation, it's your boy Greg E. Hill, the culture change agent, and I'm excited to be here for you today, episode 37. We just got 5 more episodes left in this season 2. It's a wrap. And I just want to get a couple house things done before we get into today's episode. First of all, I am coming to you in prayer because last week I almost burnt my face off. I am not playing right now. I look like Mike Tyson, and except of the black ink over the forehead is actually all pink skin. I opened the radiator cap and it exploded in my face and it almost took my eye out, but I am okay. Thank you for the people that I've shared with. Thank you for your texts, your concerns, your prayers. Please keep me in your prayers as I recover because, as you all know, I am a motivational speaker. I go to high schools, colleges, corporations, and motivate people. And it's kind of hard to motivate people when you have this scar or this crazy thing on your face. I can reel it into my story, but I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little self-conscious about it. So please keep me in prayers in that regards. On to the next thing. Thank you so much for leaving your reviews. I appreciate it. We out in 96. We got 4 more to go to get to 100. So if you haven't already, please stop. Just a little bit. I just want to say that. But stop right now and go leave a review on the podcast. I would really appreciate it. 5-star, please. Boom. So you know I'm pumped about this episode, and I just want to slide into this intro. First and foremost, this young lady has been contacting me for the last 6 months, reminding me that, because I made her fill out the survey to get on the show. She filled it out. She's like, Greg, okay, did you look at the survey? And then a couple months went by. Greg, did you look at the survey? And I was like, oh snap, I forgot to look at it. So she was persistent. She followed up. She followed through, and I had to make sure she was on the show. And her story is unique. First and foremost, because I know next year I'll be going to get my MBA degree, and I know I'm gonna need a lot of money to fund that thing. Because if I go, I'm gonna go top 10 or top 20, and you know that's like $60,000 a year. And I already got debt from A&T. I shout out to A&T. I love my alma mater, but I got student loans. And this young lady right here, she has accumulated over $500,000 in scholarships while applying to her undergraduate and graduate degree. So this is not just undergrad and her graduate degree, $500,000. And I was like, oh my goodness, I got to get on the show. And so if you're a parent, if you are a student, if you are a young adult considering going back to get your undergrad, finishing it up, getting your graduate degree or your upgrade, you need to tune into this episode. And after the episode, you need to reach out to her because she's affordable too, and schedule a session because her insight, her knowledge about this process is crazy. Helen all the way from East Point, Georgia, graduate of Columbus State University. She's a part-time Aggie. I had to give her that because she came to A&T for a year or so and then had to leave due to some circumstances we'll get into on the podcast. But she is an incredibly driven, smart, ambitious woman hailing from Atlanta, East Point, Georgia to be exact. And she has a story for you. Like I said, accumulated over $500,000 in scholarships. And she started her own company called The Scholarship Coaches, where she coaches individuals all the way from kindergarten to 97 years old. All ages, all sizes, whatever. You trying to get education, you trying to get the thing paid for, she got you. And she going to drop some bombs on us today. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Ariel Andrews, the scholarship coach, to the Minority Trailblazer Podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Ariel, as we always do it, as we begin the show, I always like to start the show off with a quote. So can you share with our audience a quote that you live by and a story on how you apply that quote to your everyday life?
Hmm. Okay. A quote that I live by. Um. Wow. I feel like I can think of so many. I think I can think of so many things that I live by. But really, and it's crazy. One quote, quote unquote, that I live by, and the song that I wake up to every morning. That's my alarm. Is Rick Ross. Every day I'm hustling. And the reason why that's one of the quotes that stick dear that is really dear to me is because I mean every day is a hustle, regardless to if you're working on your business, you're working on another job, like you're looking for scholarships, you're trying to get it in school, whatever the case may be. Every day is a hustle. So that would be the quote that I would pretty much say goes with my life and just what I've been doing forever. I've been hustling since 1993 to 2016. Every day has been a hustle.
I love that. I love that. I love that. What's your best hustle story though?
My best hustle story will probably be how I got my scholarships. Actually, when I started out in school, I went to a Title I school, which means pretty much everybody or majority of the school was on free and reduced lunch.
Mm-hmm.
We had suffering test scores. They pretty much had wiped their hands with us. It was pretty much like, you're gonna be like your mama is. You're not doing this. You're not gonna do that. And at the time, my counselors just really weren't supportive. But I figured that I wanted to go to college. I was like, well, I know I don't want to be in East Point forever, so I guess I'll go to school. And I graduated with a pretty good GPA. I always kept my GPA up because school for me was easy. It was just a matter of cramming right before the test.
Oh man, don't tell that to all the parents and kids out here listening.
I mean, not everybody can work like that, but I mean that's how it was in high school. College is not like that; it's a little different. But in high school, that was pretty much the hustle for me. I would go to the library for maybe an hour before a test or something, and I would just pretty much cram. I might have a computer class. I cram in there because of course, we didn't do much in the computer class. But so yeah, like I said, my GPA was pretty good. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to go to college. I visited one school pretty much. I saw it. I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's go here. It wasn't like area went on college tours. It was just the first school pretty much. I picked it. I was like, okay, it's college. I'll do it. And then I started to realize that okay, you have to pay for school. It's not like you just go sign your name and then you like okay, start classes Monday. And my family is I don't want to say not educated because some people are good in things, but as far as like college education, my family is really big in that. So I really didn't have anybody to reach out to kind of explain the process. So for me, I just went on YouTube. YouTube was my best friend back then. I went on YouTube. I watched videos. I reached out to like some of my teachers, and I just tried to figure out everything. And eventually, I was able to create a process. So one day I heard one of my English teachers walking down the hall telling another student, try to get as much scholarship money as you can because anything that you get over the cost of tuition, you get back in a refund check just for you. And I was thinking like, I know that's not, she's not saying what I think she's saying. And so, I just Googled, tried to research and stuff and, it showed that it was true. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and apply for scholarships and stuff, not really just focus on getting a refund check, but just really focus on funding everything so I didn't have to get a loan. And I had a computer class that we didn't do anything in at all. All we did was sit in there, listen to music, play cards. So I just took that time and in that class, I would look for scholarships. I write my essays and I apply. I didn't have anybody to look over them. Anytime I wrote it, I did my own editing and revising and I submitted it, recommendations. I probably shouldn't say this, but a lot of my teachers and my counselors, it was just a matter of I wrote my own recommendations and they would sign it. And I would just write my recommendations, change them up for each scholarship, take them to my counselor if a counselor has to sign or take it to whichever teacher had to sign. And then I would just submit my application. So pretty much the whole process, what I could do independently, I did it on my own. And for undergrad, I received over $300,000 for undergrad alone just to go to school. And I started to realize that, you can keep applying while you're in school. So even once I got to college, I kept applying, and there were scholarships that I applied for that I would get every single year because I would be the only person that would apply. And so for me, that became my hustle. Like I had friends that like, oh, I need money, I need this, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be broke. Because I'm getting, a refund check. Like I always tell people in my speaking engagement, my first refund check was $20,000. So of course, you 18 years old, that's more money than I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just, like I said, I just increased the hustle. I just kept applying, and then when I got ready for graduate school, people were like, well, it's not going to be the same process when you get ready to go to graduate school because it's not as many scholarships. I said, okay, I'll show you. So I did the same thing when I started A&T. I got everything covered, got a full ride, and I got a $3,000 a month stipend. I left there, and now I'm in Albany State. It's the same thing. I'm still getting a stipend, still have everything paid for by scholarship. It's just a matter of saying that you're going to do something and sticking to it, and that's my best hustle story.
Dang, I want to get to the backstory, but since we already here, that's got so many questions I asked. Like one, because I know a lot of people listening, they're in that grad school grind, and they're about to. Some of them are transitioning to grad school or graduated from it. But how did you attack the process via like step by step? If you had to break it down, how did you attack the process of searching, finding, applying, and receiving those scholarships for grad school?
Okay. So for grad school, the process is different. And the reason why it's different, of course, because like people say it is harder, but it's not impossible. Impossible does not exist in my vocabulary. And so I was like, okay, I kind of had to revamp what I did in undergrad and kind of change some of the things around. So the first place I started, which a lot of people don't think of, I started with the Divine Nine. Mm-hmm. I started looking at every Divine Nine, well, all 9 organizations to see what type of scholarship programs they had. Because when I was in high school, I received an AKA scholarship, and I received in high school I only received an AKA scholarship. So like I said, I just started to look through the local chapters. I started to look through nationals. I started to look through all of those, and I ended up finding scholarships. I got an Alpha Phi Alpha scholarship for graduate school. I got an AKA. I received an AKA scholarship, and I'm waiting to hear back from Sigma Gamma Rho and Zeta Phi Beta. Now, with those, what I always tell people, especially for graduate school, a lot of times those scholarships only require that you're enrolled in college. They do not have specific guidelines as far as, you have to be high school, you have to be undergrad. So even if you're working on your doctorate, you're in medical school, and even students who are in technical school can apply for these scholarships because all they have to do is be enrolled in a college and university or a technical school. Mm-hmm. So since the world is so open and so broad, then you can apply, and of course, you can win. Mm-hmm. So that was the first place that I started. The second place which is crazy, but funeral homes. What? A lot of funeral homes offer scholarships, and it's the same exact thing with the D9. They don't have really strict guidelines. It's just you have to be enrolled in school. You may have to have, 2.5 GPA. So I just started out there. So anywhere I would go on Google and pull up funeral homes in Atlanta, Georgia.
Start local.
Exactly. Start local, because locally, the smaller you can get your window, the better off your chances of winning. Of course, if you go, you apply for these national scholarships and things like that, you may be competing with 100,000 people. But I always stress to my students, you want to look for those local scholarships where it may only be you and 5 other people that apply. Mm-hmm. Because you have a better chance of winning as opposed to competing with 100,000 people. Mm-hmm. So that was the other thing that I did. I looked on their website. If they didn't have anything on their website, I gave them a call. Whatever I needed to do.
Oh, so you were calling people, and some scholarships they didn't have. When you was like, oh, I'm a student, whatever, and they were like, we're gonna work something out for you.
Yeah, exactly. What? And that was another way that I worked it out with a Masonic Lodge that was here. That's another place to check. I actually worked with a guy. He was a Mason, and I was like, well, do y'all give out scholarships? And he was like, we don't have a scholarship program. He was like, but every year we have to give so much as a member to somebody so we can sponsor you. I was like, oh, so I created my own scholarship.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it's just, like I said, it's a hustle. And, I hated this a negative connotation on the word hustle. But, I mean, that's all it is. It's a hustle. You just have to create a process, stick to it, and you just have to do it. And that's how I got my graduate education funded. Of course, along with, I don't want to say harassing the school, but making sure to call, contact anybody that you possibly can. I always stress to my clients, Financial aid is not the only department that gives money for school.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at North Carolina A&T, the person who paid with the department that paid for my out of state tuition, because I was, of course, out of state, was the graduate school. And then after that, you go to academic success. They have institutional advancement. All of those different departments have the opportunity to give money for students. So don't just stop at financial aid. If they tell you no, keep going, keep pressing forward, keep looking for these other departments, because these other departments have money that they can give out that they've gotten from alumni, that they've gotten through sponsorships or whatever the case may be. And a lot of times people just don't know, so they don't even know how to ask.
That's crazy. So that's fantastic. Thank you for dropping these jewels on us so early in the show. But let's backtrack, because I know, do you have any siblings?
No, I'm an only child.
Only child, and then because what is East Point, Georgia like? Because I'm not familiar with East Point, Georgia.
Okay, so let me tell you about my great city. East Point, Georgia is the south side of Metro Atlanta. Most people who are from East Point are just going to tell you they're from Atlanta. You ask them what side, they're going to say south side. East Point is the home of Outkast, which everybody, of course, knows about. Candy from Escape. I think it's Keenan from Keenan and Kel. Like, we had a lot of people who...
Oh, Keenan.
Yeah, we had a lot of people who graduated from my high school, Tri-Cities High School. It's a school of the performing arts, but it's still in the middle of East Point. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Helen and DeLoe. Like, they always talk about Outkast. Like, that's a really big cultural center, and Greenbrier Mall is really big for us on the south side in East Point. So East Point is, I like to call them progressive. You know, we're trying to grow. We're trying to do better. But I feel like we really need more leadership. And hopefully one day I may come back and be the mayor. You know, you never know what life might be. But most of the people who live in East Point are well below the poverty line. We don't have any recreation centers now that I can think of. So a lot of times in East Point, you will see people roaming the street. But one thing that I can say about East Point, although people have their stigmas on us, especially with us being on the south side, we are very family oriented. And if you meet somebody in East Point, you have met a family member. Like, whenever I'm passing down the street, even though Atlanta is becoming like this big mecca and a lot of people are moving here, in East Point, you can ride down the street and your neighbors or whatever will wave at you. So it's still like that Southern hospitality that's still in East Point, even though we're, you know, a part of a large metropolitan area. But yeah, I mean, East Point is great. Like I said, we have some things we need to work on, but I love my city, and nobody will ever get me to say anything different.
Oh man, I love that. So with that being said though, how did you first hear about scholarships? You said your parents really weren't, I mean, your mom, you grew up with just majority of your mom, right?
Well, no, my mom and dad was there. It was some periods where things were a little different, but for the most part, yeah, my mom and dad were there. Okay. But what were you asking now? Yeah,
so with that, how was your first, so you overheard a conversation with a teacher, and that's what kind of piqued your interest in scholarships? Like, what made you think? Because honestly, in high school, I heard about scholarships. I received one from A&T, but I didn't really apply to outside of maybe 5 or 6, but I really wasn't drove into it. So what triggered in your head to not only say, okay, I find you, first of all, how'd you find out about scholarships and when they existed? And then to say, not only am I find out, but I'm going to take it to the next level and actually do and fill out a lot of them. Because I know a lot of people, you hear about stuff like that, or even take this outside the scholarship text. So people, they hear about these great new business ideas or these opportunities, but people don't take the time to actually do it. So what triggered in your head as a high schooler to not only hear that information, but then take it to that whole next level without being from that kind of background?
Yeah. Like I said, I wanted to get out of East Point. That was my thing. The stigma is like, if you stay in East Point, you're not going to be anything. So for me, I was like, I got to get out of here. Even if I come back, I know I have to leave. I know I have to spread my wings and try some other places. And of course, you know, as a high school student, what other way is there to get away from home than to go to school? So with that, like I said earlier, you know, I realized that you can't just go to college. You have to pay for it. And of course, my year is so crazy because the state of Georgia has the Hope Scholarship, which 10 years ago, it used to be great. It used to pay your tuition, fees, and give you a book stipend. But just so happened my senior year, they cut it.
Oh, I remember
So
that's the one you had. As long as you had over 3.0, right?
yep, exactly. Yep, that's exactly it. But my senior year, they told us they made an announcement. They said that we would be the first year that will go into effect that the Hope Scholarship will change drastically. And when I tell you it changed drastically, I mean it messed a lot of students up. They cut the book stipend, they cut the fees, and they cut the full tuition. Now you had to have a certain ACT and SAT score, and you had to be either valedictorian or salutatorian in order to receive 90% of your tuition to be paid for. Yeah. So it messed up a lot of my friends because you had to have at least a 3.5 for them to pay like 90%, when of course before it was a B average and you can get it paid for. So it was like a lot of people were kind of like scrambling at the last minute trying to figure out how they were going to pay for school. And so once I found that out, I was like, well, I got to go another route because I need to figure out how I'm going to get into school. And like I said, of course, I overheard the lady talking about how you can keep the money that you get after the scholarships. But one lucky thing that happened to me, well, I don't want to just say luck, it was definitely a blessing that happened to me is I was online one day. I had to be on Facebook or MySpace, one of the two. And I just so happened to pass by this new scholarship program. And the new scholarship program was called the Buick Achievers Scholarship Program. And it was the first year that they started, and it was $100,000 for all 4 years. And I was like, okay, well, this seems cool. And it's so crazy because my mom, she didn't want me to apply for it because she said it didn't seem legitimate. And I was like, no, I think it's pretty legit. So I applied anyway. Like I said, it was the first year and I won. And that was like
Wow.
$100,000 to jumpstart. And once I received that, I was like, this is going to be this. That was all I needed. I went to school in state to a state school. So, of course, it wasn't that expensive. So I had everything pretty much paid for. But then after that, of course, that money afterwards was just coming back to me in the form of a refund check. So yeah, so like I said, it was just hearing the teacher talk about it. It was the fact that I knew that I had to get money for school. So that's what kind of sparked my interest in scholarships. And I always been a go-getter. So it's like, if I see an opportunity, and especially with scholarships, all I have to do is write an essay. I write essays for free in my English class. I can of course write an essay to get, $1,000. Like I tell people all the time, I apply for every scholarship that I qualify for. So even if it was a scholarship that was $100, I was applying for it. If it was $10,000, I applied for it. Even if it would have been one that said, we'll give you $15, I would have applied for it because I apply for everything that I possibly qualify for, everything that I see, everything that I could possibly find, I applied for it. I didn't take no for for an answer. Like I did not jump or miss over anything. If I could fit it in before the deadline, like in some scholarships, I will find it the day before the deadline and manage to flip the application and get it in by the next day. Like that was my mentality. I had that will do attitude instead of the can do. So anything that came to me, anything that I saw that I found, I would get it in. It was no excuses.
Oh man, that's fantastic. So let's fast forward to your college decision, because I know we talked about it a little bit beforehand. But what college you end up attending in undergrad, and any angst about your decision?
Yes, most definitely. I attended Columbus State University, which is in Columbus, Georgia, which is about an hour and a half away from Atlanta. It was different. I appreciate the opportunity because I do feel like it created the adult inside of me. While a lot of my friends who went to HBCUs, they stayed on campus all 4 years. They had these events. They go back to homecoming. I missed out on that opportunity. After the first year, of course, we were required to stay on campus the first year. We didn't have the whole community bathrooms and stuff like that. We had our own apartment, and we would just share the kitchen and the living areas. I had my own bathroom, own room. And we didn't really have that many campus activities. So my freshman year, I got a job as a pharmacy technician because at the time I thought that I wanted to be a pharmacist, which was completely incorrect. But yeah, I got a job as a pharmacy technician and working 40 hours a week and going to class, taking full loads, taking 21 hours and everything. And I was going to work, coming home, going to class. Like it was no really, have fun, hang out with your friends. And honestly, for the first 2 years of college, I didn't really have any friends because I was too dedicated to the hustle. I was too dedicated to trying to, get my pockets up, trying to save this money. By the time I was a sophomore, I was ready to buy a house. So, it was just, like I said, it was just a hustle. And I really feel like I missed out on the college experience, which I've gotten now because I've been able to go to different schools. But I really missed out on that fresh new college experience, networking, making those lifetime networks and connections that you made. Like a lot of my friends that went to HBCUs, they're still friends with the people who they came in with. Like they're close, like they're in each other's weddings, they're, coming to each other's baby showers. I can't say for me I really have that from my undergrad. As far as like professors, faculty members, I'm not really in contact. I don't go back and visit the school. They have homecoming. I've never been to homecoming. It's just not the same. But as a master's student, North Carolina A&T and even Albany State, it has been completely different. Like arms are wide open. The people at North Carolina A&T with me, especially being out of state, they just loved on me. It was just so crazy. It was almost like I was meeting long lost family members. Like people would invite me over their house after just meeting me. People were feeding me. People were helping me. It was just the culture is so different. That's why I always tell people I'm pro HBCU because the love that you're gonna get there is like no other. You will not get that at a PWI. I can promise you that. You will get that at even the smallest of the largest PWI. You will not get that love that you get from the HBCU because when I withdrew from school, it's because I had a death in the family. And I was just it was so heartfelt because my professors, my some of the administrators, even my supervisors, they reached out to me because because I guess they sent an email around. They sent an email with the obituary around because, saying I was withdrawing from school. They reached out to me and was, how are you doing? How's everything? Let me know if you need anything, like sending me gift cards and stuff like this because I had a death in my family. I was like, wow, this is crazy that people who only knew me, for almost a year were acting more like family than some of my family members. Uh-huh. Like they were really concerned about me and how I was as a person. And of course, like the students and the friends that I made there, even though I left, like I'm still in contact with them. A lot of them have moved to Atlanta. If they come and visit in Atlanta, we connect, we go out to lunch, we do events. I have a friend, her birthday is coming up next week, and I met her at North Carolina A&T. It's her and her husband's birthday. And I'm supposed to be going up there, just spending the time with them in Greensboro, hanging out with them. And, just like I said, the connections that I've made, I could definitely say I've met some of my best friends at North Carolina A&T, even as a master's student, which is so crazy because you think masters, you're working a job, you're going to, taking a class in the afternoon, you're not really trying to meet people. But I met some of the best connections in my life that I feel as a master's student at North Carolina A&T.
That's fantastic. And I do want to ask you a couple of questions. A question briefly about how did you deal with getting back on track after the passing of a close family member?
Yeah, most definitely. What I always tell people and the way I look at life is if I wake up in the morning and I open my eyes, that means I still have a purpose. So it's no matter how bad or how terrible things seem, a lot of times I just try to remind myself that I still have a purpose because I'm still breathing. So that's the way I usually try to deal with any type of adversity that I'm faced with. Is the fact that, there's always an opportunity for tomorrow to be different. Like, it's always a way for you to improve. Like, this is not going to last always. And especially with dealing with a death, especially someone in the family, and just seeing the people around you, you just have to stay encouraged. You just have to, like I said, keep realizing that you're here and you have a purpose, that your what you're going through now is going to one day become a testimony that you can help somebody else in. Because I wish I would have had somebody who could have told me, hey, I've been through what you've been through. I know how it is, relocating from 6 hours away and trying to get all of this and handling a death in the family, dealing with sad parents and sad family members and, dealing with funeral arrangements, all of that. I wish somebody could have reached out and just patted me on the back like, Ariel, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But I just always try to be an encouragement to myself and tell myself that you still have a purpose, so you got to keep pushing. You have to keep pressing forward because this is going to one day become your testimony for somebody else.
I love that advice. I love that advice. So let's transition into present day. So when did you say, okay, I got these scholarships, I'm hustling doing that. When was the transition to say, hold up, I got a business in this and going full time? I know you briefly talked about it via intro, but what was the turning point when you said, let me make this a business?
Okay, yeah. Well, I was working when I came back home from A&T. Of course, I was like, okay, I need to get a job because I was just sitting around the house. After dealing with that, and of course, after dealing with a death in the family, if you just sit around, you can dwell in it all day. So I was like, well, let me get a job. I need to back into the workforce, get back into making money. So I got a job as a recruiter, it was always my dream job. I've always loved HR. I've always loved recruiting because I love that people connection, like being able to say that you offer someone a job, or hearing the smile in somebody's voice over the phone when you tell them we would like to offer you the position. Mm-hmm. So so that was something that I just always loved to do. And I got my dream job at a company called Pro Logistics. I was working and hiring people who were in warehouse and forklift, mm-hmm. which I love working with. I love working with guys, especially in warehouse and forklift, because they're so easygoing. It's like, you offer them a job, tell them how much it is. They say, okay, I'm going to be there tomorrow. And I've loved what I did. But my company merged. They merged with another top company, which it happened the year that I got hired, but the merger wasn't complete until the next year, which is now 2016. And everybody thought it was going to be okay. But of course, usually when they merge, they have to make places for people, especially people who have been there, upper management. And one day I went to lunch and, everything was fine. I came back and my supervisor was like, come over here. Let me, come in the room. Let me speak to you. And she was like, I hate it because you're a great worker. I love what you do. Because before I got there, our branch was suffering. But by the time I stayed there for about 6 months, we were number one in the country for our company. So, I pretty much helped take the company from 0 to hero. But she was like, I hate to tell you this, but we have to let you go because we have to have and create a position for someone in upper management who's been here longer than you have. And I was like, oh, wow. You never think it's going to happen to you, especially at the time I was 22. I was 22 and I just signed a lease on my apartment. And it was just like, wow, okay. So what's from here? When is my last day? And she was like, your last day is today.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So she was like, you can get your stuff, anything you need to get off the computer, it's fine or whatever, but we have to start this person on Monday. I was like, okay, well, that's fine. So me and a few other people were let go. But it was pretty much the last people who came in were the first people out. And after that, I was embarrassed. I was really embarrassed because I felt like I always been able to control my future. And this was one of the first times that I felt like I was not in control, which was kind of alarming to me. So I was like, okay, I searched for jobs for a little while. Nothing was coming through, nothing I was interested in, things that were too far. Because of course, being in Atlanta, people think you're going to travel 45 minutes to get to work and sit in traffic for 2 hours. But I wasn't about to do that. Mm-hmm. I stayed 5 minutes from my job. It was just, everything was perfect. And when they let me go, it really kind of shook my world. But yeah, like I said, I applied for jobs and nothing was working out. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I was like, I just want to do what I feel like I've been called to do. I feel like I've always been a hustler, even from when I was in elementary school. I used to sell, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but we used to do this thing with like string. It was like we used to little keychains and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I remember those jobs.
So I used to sell those for 50 cents. I used to go to Walmart, buy the big bundle, and cut off, pieces and sell them for 50 cents. So I would come home with big bags of change and just save it up. So I've always been a quote unquote entrepreneur. That's something that I've always did, from selling candy to doing whatever I possibly could. I've always been an entrepreneur because I hated the feeling of being broke. I don't like that feeling. So, I was just like, I feel like I've been called to be an entrepreneur. So I was like, let's do it. So I just pretty much brainstormed what I was good at. And I realized that, a lot of people had heard about my story about me getting, the money that I got for school. That when I was an undergrad, people would reach out to me. I would kind of help them, teach them my process, kind of help them get scholarships, send them scholarships, help them edit and revise their essays. And I was like, And like I had a friend up in North Carolina. We're still friends today. The motivational speaker that I was telling you about before, William Lee, that he was telling me like, you could be getting paid for what you do. And I was like, oh, really? And so that just kept playing back and forth in my head. And I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and get this business started. Let me set up a website. Let me get a business card. Because, once you get a business card, you're officially in business then. So I get a business card. And my first day, before I even had a website up, I joined this Black-owned business group. And it's probably about 40 or 50,000 people in that group. And I posed a question. And that first day after I posed the question, I told him what I did. This guy inboxed me and was like, hey, I would like for you to work with my son. And that was when I attracted my first client. So after that, I pretty much grew. I created the website. I just reached out to people. Different people reached out to me. And it was just history from there. People started asking me to speak at teen summits and coming to different events and setting up, doing workshops and just things, they just grew from there. So, and, here I am today.
Man, that's fantastic. So how was it when you initially first started like getting clients? Was it slow? Like how was the first year of it?
People came quick because I feel like most people haven't heard of people doing the scholarship coaching. I know personally because I've done my research. I found about four or five other people who do what I do pretty much, scholarship coaching and teaching you how to apply things. But they're so scattered out. Like some people are in California. It's a guy who's in Alabama. And there's actually a girl right here in Atlanta who does it as well. But, with so many people going back to school, a lot of people haven't heard about these people. So for them to see me in the Black-owned business group, that's where I attracted a lot of my clients. And, of course, with my website, if somebody goes online, I worked on, getting my website higher up in the Google search. So when people for, scholarship coaching, if that's what they Google, then they'll see mine either on the first or the second page. And so, I just started attracting clients like that. And like I said, it picked up rather quickly, which was scary for me because the way that I set up my business at first, I couldn't work with no more than probably 3 clients, only because it's so personable. And it's like I really have to know my client. I have to know what school, what the GPA, the extracurricular. So it's really like I'm befriending my clients. So I have to know their personal information to kind of connect them with the scholarships that work with them. So it was really a learning process because I got burned out quickly. Because even though looking for scholarships and helping kids apply and stuff is something that I love to do, I absolutely have a passion for. I was beginning to do more of that and not eating, not sleeping, not doing everything. And of course, I was still, getting my master's. So I'm trying to balance all of this. And like I said, I got burned out. And I just had to recreate my process. So now I'm to the point where it's more, I still have a relationship. It's still a one-on-one, but now I have things more systematic. So now I'm teaching them, instead of me just sending them scholarships, I'm teaching them the process that you use to find scholarships on your own, which I feel like is allowing them to get a better value for what, for their coaching session, because now they can take what I teach them and continue all throughout their college career, as opposed to when I first started out, it was just me sending them scholarships. They didn't learn how to look for them. They didn't learn how to write the essay. It was just pretty much me.
Just giving them fishes.
Yeah, pretty much. just giving them all the scholarships and everything. So, like I said, now it's a better value because now they can take what I teach them and they can use it. And I'm still growing now because I know it's a better way to do what I'm doing now. But of course, I'm just learning as I go. That's the fun part. I'm learning as I go.
Now, how long? First of all, that's fantastic. And how long does it usually take? How long do you usually work with clients? Is it like to get the desired impact? And have you been able to kind of gauge some of the impact you've had thus far?
Yes, definitely. I started working out with clients 2-week sessions. So that first week I do webinars, and if they're local, then I do it in person. But most of my clients are long distance, so we do webinars via Skype. I go over these PowerPoints and just go over, how to locate scholarships, how to what to do during the application process, where I go over the difference between a professional and an academic resume. I tell them what to do and what not to do during the application process. And then my last thing is my follow up and follow through. And my follow up and follow through is pretty much I try to tell people what you can do even after you submit your application to increase your chances of winning a scholarship. Because I received the opportunity to serve on a scholarship committee board, which is great for me because now I get to see firsthand the mistakes that students are making when they send their scholarship, so I can use that and tell my clients what to not do when you submit your application. So, and after that, the next week when we work together, it's kind of, I give the student the chance to work more independently, but I'm kind of, over their shoulder to kind of give them guidance. So I say, okay, you have this, you went through the webinars, we did exercises, we had homework assignments. So this week, I want you to find me 3 scholarships that you qualify for, that you feel like you qualify for. Of course, they'll send them to me. I look over, make sure that they're legit. And then they'll apply. They'll write the essays, send them to me. I edit them, revise it. I give them feedback, let them know, okay, this is a good essay. The content is great. However, we need something that's going to be more of an attention grabber at the beginning. So I just coach them through that, kind of help them through that, and also help them with the follow through and the follow up. Most of my clients renew for another 2 weeks because they want to make sure that they can get that they kind of get the gist of things. They kind of understand how everything works. So they usually renew for another 2 weeks. Usually after 3 to 4 sessions, my students are completely able to be independent to do it on their own. Like I said, they could take that as an undergrad, graduate, they're going to doctoral school. They're going for the doctoral degree, or they're going to medical school, whatever the case may be. They can take what I teach them and they can use it forever and teach them.
That's fantastic, man. Like, so your clients usually ran from undergrad, grad, all levels, right?
Elementary school. I started as early as elementary school, all the way up to the doctoral level.
How do you get scholarships at elementary school?
There are scholarships for elementary students. What they do is once you apply, if you win, they just keep in contact with you until you get into usually your junior or senior year of high school. Then, of course, you tell them what college you plan to attend, and they cut the check. They send the check to the school. But yes, you can start as early as elementary school.
Oh man, that's fantastic. And not to give away too many of your secrets, but what are some of the, I guess for the high level, what are some of the mistakes that people usually do as far as scholarships?
You talking about just as during the application process?
Yeah, during the application process.
One of the main problems that I see students have, and it's so crazy because I feel like we learned this. I give 2 actually. The first thing is they have an unprofessional email address. I do not want to see cherry cupcake yahoo.com. That's unprofessional. I always tell people to make sure you create a website. Make sure you create an email that has like your first, last name, and if you have a number, then put a number, at gmail.com, whatever the case may be. And then the second thing is I get so many people who start out their essays like this. Hi, my name is Ariel Andrews. I'm an MBA student at Albany State University, and I'm applying for the scholarship because. And I always tell students, okay, I get where you're coming from, but please do not start out your essay like that. Now, I do want you to put that information in there later on, maybe in the body paragraphs. Let them know what your concentration is, what school you're attending. But that first paragraph, that's like your first impression. You have to grab somebody's attention. So I always tell people, try to be unconventional. Like, don't be afraid to use an exclamation mark. Don't be afraid to use a question mark. Don't be afraid to start off differently, than most people start out their essays. Just be creative. Like, you don't have to be so uptight, because with me looking at scholarship essays, and I usually have to look at like 20 a day when I'm grading them, it gets tiring. And if your essay starts out, hi, my name is so-and-so, I'm probably not going to continue to read. I'm probably going to but you want something that's going to grab their attention because you're looking at so many essays. The scholarship committee is looking at so many essays that when they get something that really grabs their attention, they want to hold on to it. They want to keep reading. Like, that's what you want your scholarship committee to do, to want to keep reading. So that first paragraph, even that first sentence is so very important. And that's one of the main issues or the main mistakes that I see a lot of people make is just by not grabbing the attention at the beginning of the essay.
I said that, and honestly, that can be boiled down to anything through a blog writing, through conversations with people that don't have a lot of time on their hands, like interviews. Like, okay, so tell me about yourself. Well, like I'm Greg. I graduated. Now you gotta get to the money. Like a lot of people
Exactly.
short sell themselves, and it's crazy, especially high school. I mean, because we live in a society where sadly is sometimes it could be a lot more pessimistic than optimistic, so we don't really tell students, especially students, they get a lot of students, they don't get that much encouragement like what they're good at. They get what they need to improve, so when it times comes to interview or apply for scholarships, they can't really brag about themselves. Like they don't know how to. So it's great that you're doing that sort of work. So if you could highlight real quick some of your biggest challenges as an entrepreneur and some of your biggest successes as so far.
Okay. I can definitely say my biggest challenge is, and it's so crazy because I have my undergraduate degree in business,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm working on my master's of business administration. And even though I'm in both of those programs, my biggest challenge was starting my business, was to legally start my business.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being is because when you're a business major, you learn the basics or whatever. You learn the difference between a sole proprietorship and an LLC, but you never learn how to actually get those established. And that was the hardest thing for me because like even with the scholarships, I didn't really have anybody to reach out to ask that question. So it was pretty much a matter of me posing questions in the Black owned business group that I'm a part of. It was me doing my research, me trying to reach out to the Small Business Administration, the local department that they have, just trying to kind of figure out. And it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work trying to get everything established, from opening up my own business account, my business banking account, to creating how do you get an LLC established? What's really the difference, the legal difference between having an LLC and having a sole proprietorship? Like, what are the advantages or disadvantages of it? So that was my biggest challenge because I had to really get down and grind and figure out, what the difference was between, having the book knowledge, but actually putting that into place and actually getting things started. As far as my successes, I have to say that my major success had to be with a client that I was working with, that didn't have all that great of a GPA. I don't want to say that they didn't have what you would consider to be a great GPA. Like, they didn't have an A average or anything. They had it was a high C. But they were like pretty much discouraged. They was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna be able to go to school. I know that you usually have to have an A plus average to get scholarships. And I was like, no, you don't. You do not have to have a 4.0. You do not have to be involved in all of this extracurricular. You just have to find those scholarships that are just for you. And that's what I worked on with him. We worked hard. That was probably the hardest I've ever worked with a client, because I could tell that he was really he felt like he was down on his luck, but I could see the passion and I could see the life in him. So I just could not let go. And so I kept working with him even after we stopped our sessions, because I tell people, I want to make money to live, but money is not my main motivator. My thing is to make a difference. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I kept working with him even after our sessions had ended, because I believed in what he was doing. And so, like I said, he had like a 2.8 GPA. He wasn't really that involved, but he loved music and he wanted to go into engineering. Mm-hmm. So I took that, especially once he said engineering. I said, I could definitely help you. So what happened is, which is so great, and I love to tell this story, the same $100,000 scholarship that I received, the Buick Achievers, is the same one that he received.
Are you serious?
Yes. So once I started working with him and he said engineering, I said, okay, I know the perfect scholarship for you. So we put our foot in that application. Like, I took everything. I said, think of anything that you could possibly think of that you even did for a weekend of community service, and let's expand on it. Like, let's create it so it can sound good, so people can be like, oh, this is really great. And you just did it for 4 hours on the weekend. Like, I can take what somebody gives me and I can make it grow. And that's exactly what we did. And I was so happy, and he was so happy, and he was able to go to his school. He wanted to go to a private school. So we definitely had to get to work on him. He went to a private Catholic school. And it was his dream school. And I was so happy that I was able to help him get into his dream school. and I was able to help him believe in himself. And I know that we're gonna always be friends. He's in high school, but we're gonna always be friends forever, like
Nah.
because we just really worked together on everything. And I really feel like I helped him believe in himself, especially the fact that he received a scholarship and felt like he wasn't gonna receive anything because of his GPA.
Man, that is a great story, man. I'm glad. Hopefully, I know I'm gonna give you a call my senior year. No, my brother's senior year when he goes, because his woof, he 2'8". That make he make my brother make my man like a genius. Like so, like goodness gracious. But that's neither here nor there. What do you see yourself doing in like the future though? Like, I mean, do you see yourself how far do you see this journey evolving?
Mhm. Well, hopefully, what I would hope to do, I want to get in the school system. That would be perfect for me to get into the school system so that I can offer my services for free, especially to students who are at Title I high schools, like what I graduated from. Of course, I charge for my services, and a lot of times I have to do things just out of the kindness of my heart for people who really can't afford it. But I want to be able to reach people on a bigger scale. I want to be able to get into the school system and have the school system pay me as an independent contractor, and to be able to go out and help these students at different high schools, every other day, every day, and, just move around. Because I really, like I said, I really want to be able to reach more people and get my message out, because there's really just so many people who don't even know where to start. And if I could just help people figure out where to start, then I can create that snowball effect and have them, be able to fund their entire education. Because I always stress to people that what people don't realize about student loans is that although a lot of people get student loans, people who are, in upper income levels, it's an attack on the lower level of students, on the lower income level of students.
Mm-hmm.
Even though lower income level students usually qualify for more grants, like the Pell Grant and things like that, they usually take out the largest loans because they take out what's ever offered to them, because they don't understand the effects of getting a loan and having it on your credit, the fact that the compounding interest that is starting, and they don't understand that kind of stuff. So all they see are dollar signs. So if I could just kind of change that and get people to kind of look at that differently, look at student loans and try to avoid it at all costs, then I will have made the difference that I want to make. Because I have a lot of friends who graduated from school, have $60,000 in student loan debt, and had to get a $10 an hour job in Atlanta. And that's poverty in Atlanta, because you're not going to find too many places that you could live for $10 an hour, even if you work 40 hours a week. Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lot of them have just been confined to working those $10 an hour jobs because they can't find a job in their field. They just weren't connected. They didn't get, placed on a position. They didn't do internships. So if I could just get that out, so where my students can at least start out, fresh, and not have that student loan on their back, that they can focus more on what they want to do, what they really like to do, and not have to, just get a job because they need to start making payments on these student loans.
Man, whenever you are available to become mayor of your city, man, I'll make sure that I use my promotional resources to, and whatever I can to really help in that avenue. Cause I mean, that's a phenomenal answer. And if you just had to make one small change to the school system though, what would you change?
I would change the attitudes of of a lot of the people who work in the school system. I know I'm not saying this about every school system, but I know especially on my side of town in South Fulton, a lot of the teachers, the counselors, the principals, all they see is dollar signs, and they don't see these students as living, walking beings, and most importantly, they don't see these students as your future. That's what we don't understand, is that our kids are one day going to become our doctors, our lawyers, our politicians. They're going to one day become these people that we're going to have to answer to. And if we don't invest in them right now and change our attitudes towards them, then we're not going to have a future. Because the attitudes of a lot of places, especially on lower income school systems, the attitudes are terrible toward the students. Is, I got mine, now it's time for you to get yours. You're not going to be anything. You're going to be just like your mama. You can stay out of these streets. Just different stuff like that. The talk to them is so negative. And it was even like that when I was coming through school. It's just like this cloud that they place over your head where you just feel terrible. And if I could just do something to change the attitudes and get these people to speak life into these students instead of speaking, condemnation on them, then that would be the greatest thing that I could possibly do. Even if I could find somebody who teaches sensitivity training and, I could get them to come to the schools and teach them how to, talk about how to be sensitive toward these students and their situation, their family situation, their living situations. Because you have to think, a lot of times, especially in low income places, a lot of these kids don't get that love at home. And then you come to school and you don't get that love at school. So it's like, of course, they're going to rob and they're going to steal because they feel like nobody loves them. So if we could just change that in the school system, I could change the attitude and get them to come from a place of love instead of just coming for a paycheck and things like that. And that would be one of the greatest things that I could possibly do in my life. That would be even better than me scholarship coaching if I could change. If I could change the attitude. Yeah, if I could change the attitudes of them.
Man, so the future round. What's next for you in 2016?
2016, school. Growing my business. I'm actually getting ready to launch a course that's going to be self-directed, just so I can kind of give myself a chance to focus on school and get it finished because I'll be finished in May. I'm creating that course. I want to push that course so people can get on that. Of course, attracting new clients and stuff so I can work with and kind of help them. And also speaking engagements. I have a few speaking engagements I already have planned for the end of this year and for next year already. But I really love speaking engagement because, like I was telling you earlier, I love to be able to reach more people at once. Mm-hmm. I love one-on-one coaching, but the fact that I can reach 100 people at one time and actually spark their interest and kind of give them a way to start is what I really like to do. I love being able to reach that many people. So that's what's waiting for me for the rest of 2016 and 2017. Hopefully, I'll be moving to Texas. So we'll see how that works.
Why you want to move to Texas?
I don't like Atlanta at all. I don't want to be here. I don't.
What happened though? You were just saying all this stuff about Atlanta.
No, I love East Point. I love my city, but I don't want to. I feel like I don't want to get personal. Maybe if you turn this off, but the dating scene in Atlanta for a black female is terrible. So I just feel like I'm not going to be successful.
Isn't that bad?
Yes, I'm going to end up being an old lady with cats if I can get out of here. Like, really. So, I would come back. And once I'm married and have kids or something like that, I would come back and be the mayor of East Point. But as far as next year, I'm going to be 24. So, I need to enjoy this youth while I can and try to get myself out there. Because if not, I'm going to be an old lady with cats if I stay in there.
Why Houston, though?
No, I actually want to move to Dallas.
Dallas is loved. They got a great entrepreneurship scene, great system. I've heard nothing but great things about Dallas.
Exactly. I went out there. I've been out there twice. Every time I go out there, it's just the scene is just so great. It's just, I feel like that family vibe that Atlanta is losing. Like Atlanta is becoming a place for, people come out of high school, out of college, they come here, they get a job, they hustle and stuff. And while I love the hustle, I also like, that little countryside sitting on the porch, watching the cars ride by, hearing the wind blow. Like, I like that side of things as well. I'm just looking for a good balance. Atlanta is too fast, where I did my undergrad is a little too slow. And Dallas makes me feel like it's in between. Everything that I need to get is out there. The people are still very hospitable. Like they're always saying, hey, how you doing? You having a good day? They speak to you. And just to feel the vibe out there it's just great. Every time I go out there, I fall more and more in love with the city. So.
Oh man, that's love. That's love. And I guess when it's all said and done, though, how do you individually want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as somebody with passion. That somebody who really cared. That it wasn't just about the dollar. It wasn't about the dollar sign. Just about making money. She wasn't money hungry. I want to be remembered as somebody who really cared, who actually cared about her community, who cared about her people, and, eventually just cared about herself. So, yeah, if I could be remembered as somebody who actually cares, especially about my community, then that's all that matters to me.
Amen on that. So as we transition into the rapid fire round, I'm going to ask you 5 questions and give me rapid fire answers. You ready?
Okay, let's go.
What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
The best piece of advice that I've ever received is to just live. To just live. Like I said, in undergrad, I grew up too fast, and I just needed the time to just sit back and live, enjoy being young, enjoy being just responsible for me, and just live, just enjoy the moment.
You mind me asking, how'd you grow up too fast?
Because when I went to undergrad, like I said, it was kind of like a working adult situation.
Um,
I was working 40 hours a week. I wasn't really enjoying anything. I was just going to work, going to school. Like I said, by sophomore year, I was 19 years old, ready to buy a house. So it was just everything was just going way too fast. Picking up bills, all of that. It was just growing up way too fast, and I just never got to really sit back and be fun. In undergrad, I didn't drink. Well, I still don't drink, smoke, or do any of that. So it's just some of the mistakes that some of my peers made, I never really got to make them. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But no, the bad part about it is I really kept myself from being able to make friends and network because, like I said, when in school, I was too busy working and going to school. I didn't really worry about making no friends and doing all of that stuff. And before you know it, I'll be 80 years old looking back like, man, I really wish I would have just took the time to smell the roses, just relax, make a few mistakes, go to a few parties, do something that you never thought you would do before and just have fun.
Nah, I feel you on that. I feel you on that. That's real. That's real. That's real. And I didn't ask you this question, so I guess I ask you now. This is outside of the rapid fire round. I had to break it up a little bit because if you had to tell yourself something 5 years ago, knowing what you know now, what would you say? What would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself it all goes back to the same thing. I would tell myself is just relax. Like you have forever and a day to work a job. Like even in undergrad, I got to the point where I was working 2 jobs at one time, just trying to get money. But I would have told myself, just relax, just go. I've never been anywhere on spring break. I would tell myself to go somewhere on spring break when your friends go. Go. Don't have your schedule so tied up. Just have fun. Just go to the beach. Just go hang out. Go to a kickback or two. Like, just have fun. Like, so I was too wrapped up in making money, going to work, being in school, having a 4.0 and stuff like that. I just never let myself have fun and make friends. And a lot of people thought I was not stuck up because they knew I was involved. So they knew my personality. But a lot of people thought I was really serious. Like, I didn't really know how to laugh and have a good time. And I didn't start realizing that until I graduated from college and came back and got involved with this Young Black Professionals group. I've actually been able to blossom and evolve into this light bug. I've been able to kind of, show who I am inside. Like I feel like I had such a hard exterior back then because my mind was so focused on what I had to focus on that I didn't even notice the people around me. Like people would come up to me like, oh, I went to Columbus State. I remember you. I'm like, where you remember me from? Because I'd never seen you before because I was just so focused. So if I could reach back 5 years ago, I would tell myself, relax, have fun, and enjoy undergrad because once these days are over, it's over for good. You will never be able to be 18 again.
I love that. I love that. I love that. And I guess to get back into jump, what is your favorite book and why?
My favorite book, and it's so crazy because it's apart from entrepreneurship, but I read this book when I was in high school called The Poisonwood Bible. And and I grew up as a devout Christian. I never had an interest in learning about any other type of religion because I was just like, Jesus is Jesus. He's God. He's always going to be God. I don't want to hear about nothing else. But when I read the Poisonwood Bible, it opened my mind to explore different religions. And although I feel like my parents were really nervous about it because they felt like I was going to lose my way, I feel like it brought me closer to God than I had ever been before because I was able to seek through my own understanding instead of just listening to what everybody else was telling me. I was able to read the Poisonwood Bible and get more understanding about myself and more importantly about my spirituality. And that was one thing that I was missing. Like I was this Christian in physical form, but spiritually, I feel like I was battling. And once I read this book, I feel like now I can be physically outward appearance. I could be a Christian, but I can also show people. I can also be good spiritually. Like now I feel like I'm better spiritually than I've ever been in my life because I read that book and it opened my mind to different things.
What inspires you the most and keeps you motivated?
What inspires me the most is probably this vision that I have for my life. I hope to, and this is, get ready for it because a lot of people always like, what? But I hope that once I get married, I want to have like a football team of kids. And I want to create this family business. So I want to take this business and, of course, grow it now. But I also want to create it into something that I can pass on to my children. I want this to become something that's generational, something that I can pass on to my kids, they pass on to their kids. Because I don't want my kids to have to, if they want to be entrepreneurs, I don't want them to have to go to a workforce because, their parents can't support them because they don't have anything to fall into place. I want them to be able to, if you're discriminated against on your job, you don't have to deal with it. You can quit and you can come work for your mama. So I want my program to become something that I can pass on and keep growing it so that I can create like a family business. That's always been something that's been a passion.
A football team?
Yeah. Look, when I tell people, I at least, now I'm getting a little old now, so I don't know how it's going to work out, but I at least want 5 kids, at least.
Where did this ambition come from?
You said, where did this come from?
Yeah, where did this ambition come from? Like, why 5?
Because I'm the only child. My family's small. I'm the only child. My mom is the only child. My granddad is the only child. So I've always missed having that sibling interaction, like having that family. And like I've been able to see like through some of my friends, like I had this one friend, his family is awesome. Like they're the epitome of a strong black family. Like if somebody is weak here, then somebody else comes from over here and they pull them up. And that's what I want for my family. And that's one reason why I want a lot of kids, because I'm like, I want to be able to teach this and I want them to all have their own expertise. Like, I have 5 kids. One might be an artist. Another one might be great at marketing. Another may be great at, coming up with, they may be a good speaker, whatever the case may be. I would love for them to all come together and bring all of their strengths and bring it to, a family business. But with that, of course, it's going to be on me to teach them the strength of a family, to teach them that, okay, when your brother is down, you pull him up. You never let your brother fall by the wayside. So that's just, all of that. Like I said, coming from an only child, not having that experience, I want to be sure that I can give that to my children. And also just because I've always had the dream of being like the matriarch in the family, like being big mama, like when I get old, being big mama, all my family come to my house, Thanksgiving, Christmas. It's just all something that's really important to me that one day hopefully I can become. So, yeah.
That's good. And if you were the president of the United States, what would be the first thing you would do?
If I was the president of the United States, wow. The first thing I would probably do is, I don't know, I would probably take out most of the teachers that are in some of the school systems and replace them with people who really have a passion for it, not people who are just doing it because of a paycheck. Because one thing that I've learned that is so crazy to me, when I meet people who are education majors and they're always talking about teachers don't make a lot of money, I'm always like, where are y'all teaching? Because I know for a fact the teachers that teach at my high school, I can tell you for a fact that they make 6 figures at least.
No way.
I promise you, go on opengeorgia.gov because, of course, when you work for the state, that you have that your salary and reimbursements and stuff is public information. If you go on your opengeorgia.gov, even in North Carolina, it's probably like opennorthcarolina.gov. You can look up people who work for the state, colleges, high schools, elementary schools. You can look up their salaries. And I did that one day, and most of my teachers are at least making 6 figures. So I feel like they're doing it for the money. And I will bring in people who actually do it because they have a love and a passion for the students. I would want to be people like me who really care about their community and care about the students who are there and not just there for a paycheck because it's a job.
I love that. And our last question of the whole interview, and this is one of the most important questions. I think you touched on it a little earlier, but as always, I have to ask it. If you could change one thing about society, most specifically our African American culture, what would it be and why?
What I would change is, like I kind of talked about it before, I would change the family structure. I feel like our main issue, I see people argue about different things all the time. Oh, black men not doing this, black women not doing that. But what we don't realize is that we're stronger together than we can ever be apart. So one of the main things we have to do, what I would love to change about our society, which I don't know how to do it, but you best believe I'm thinking about it, is to change and restore our family settings. Like having the mother and the father in the family, having the family be the backbone. So we don't have to make so many bad decisions. You don't have to rob and steal if you know that you have this uncle, that has this business that he can place you on and he can help you, show you through the ropes and stuff. You don't have to do this robbing and killing and stealing and taking from your brother. If we had a stronger family support where the mother can be the nurturer and the father can be the person who puts into place the discipline, and just having those two together, like the fact that our family structure is so messed up is the reason why we have so many problems. And until we can repair the family structure in the Black community, we will never be able to repair anything else, from the miseducation of us, from just different issues that we deal with as a community. We can't repair it until we repair our family, because the family structure is the first thing. You got to think, when you're born, the first thing that you have is a family. So once we can repair that, then that's when we can create a community that stands together, and we can repair all of the problems that have been placed on us and have been put on us throughout the years, through slavery, through discrimination, or whatever. We can repair all of that once we can repair our families.
Man, that is a masterpiece. This whole interview has really been a masterpiece. And I just thank you for your candidness, your openness, your gift of gab. It really has been a great interview. You dropped a lot of nuggets early on, and we just been flowing ever since. You definitely need some type of audio platform as well. Like, I mean, I definitely think that's in the works, sooner rather than later. And I'm definitely, encouraged we were able to get this done. So before we end up, where can people find you at online, on social media, and all that good stuff?
Okay, well, first, I love to tell people to follow my Facebook page, because that is where I interact the most with people. So it's going to be www.facebook.com/The Scholarship Coaches. Then, if you would like to learn a little more information about me and just my story and some of the things that I offer and how to get in contact with me, you can go on my website, which is www.thescholarshipcoaches.com. And, I always tell people I'm open to following people, befriending people on Facebook. You can add me. My name is Ariel, Scholarship Coach Andrews on Facebook. I give a lot of tips there as well to just some of my personal friends. And also, you can message me. You can email me. I always tell people, email me at thescholarshipcoaches@gmail.com. That's the one that I like to communicate with my clients, because I usually check that one more often. But if you have any questions about anything else, like business-wise, they can contact me at info@thescholarshipcoaches.com. And that's it.
I love that. So, Minority Trailblazer Nation, for all you parents, for all you scholars that are looking to get advanced degrees, for all your parents that got students that you're nervous, you don't got the money to pay for, and your child don't got the money to pay for, you now have a resource. Finally, about time, we got a resource now you can go to that's young, fresh, and hip, and most importantly, she has done it before, and she can help you achieve your scholarship goals. So, on behalf of the Minority Trailblazer Nation, on behalf of myself, thank you so much for giving an hour plus of your time.
No problem. I love to do things like this and speak with people.
You like it. I love it. So, Minority Trailblazer Nation, y'all know what time it is. Before we wrap it up and end it out, I just want to say thank you for tuning in to another episode. We got 5 more to go. We're going to end the season off with a bang. And in season 3, I got that heat rock for you. You got Minority Trailblazer Conference coming up. We got more books coming up. We got webinars coming up. We got products coming up. We got all this coming up, and I'm pumped. But before we get there, we need to do one thing. What is that one thing, Mr. Hill? Leave a review. 5-star, please. I need a 5-star one. So I'm pumped. I'm excited. I don't want to go, but I know I got to go, because if you listening to here, you a true fan, and that means you got work to do. That means you need to be changing the culture. That means you got to turn it up and change the world. So without further ado, I like to say one thing and one thing only. And you're looking at the song, you're like, yo, what is that one thing, Mr. Hill? That one thing is to change the freaking culture. Good night.